Marcus Chen was elbow-deep in a water purifier, his hands moving with careful precision. The station around him was chaos, blinking lights, the hum of machinery, and the constant shuffle of people displaced by the collapse of Valoria Station's main systems. And then she appeared. A tiny figure with shimmering silver-blue skin and 4 luminous amber eyes stepped past a crowd of her own kind and planted herself firmly in front of his workbench. She held a ragged toy in her hands, one of its 6 legs dangling, a tiny speaker inside rattling when she moved it. "You fix things," she said. It was not a question. Marcus straightened, studying her. She could not have been more than 5 cycles old, yet there was an authority in her voice that made him pause. "I do," he said carefully. "Machines, mostly." The girl tilted the toy toward him. "Kip is broken. Fix him." Marcus blinked. He had repaired water systems, power relays, and communication arrays that kept thousands alive, but he had never been asked to fix a toy. "What's your name?" he asked. "Neradot," she replied, thrusting Kip closer. A sharp voice interrupted, cutting through the noise of the station. A taller Valoran woman approached, her darker silver-blue skin glinting under the harsh lights. Her 4 eyes studied Marcus with suspicion and relief all at once. "I apologize," she said, reaching for Nera. "She doesn't usually bother the humans." Marcus shook his head. "She's not bothering me. She wants me to fix her toy." The woman paused. "Kip hasn't worked in months," Nera said solemnly. "He used to purr." Marcus examined Kip carefully. The pressure sensor and small speaker were intact. He applied conductive adhesive to a cracked circuit, reassembled the toy, and handed it back. The child squeezed Kip, and a soft rumbling purr filled the air. Her eyes lit up, and she smiled, showing tiny pearl-like teeth. "You fixed him," she said. Marcus shrugged. "It was a small thing." Nera shook her head. "Not small. Kip is my friend." Her mother's expression softened but remained cautious. "Thank you," she said. Nera turned back to Marcus. "Will you be here tomorrow?" "I'll probably be here," he said. She nodded, satisfied. Over the next 2 weeks, Nera returned every day, observing Marcus as he worked on purifiers, relays, and communication arrays. She asked questions, starting simple and growing more complex. How does water know it's clean? How do machines know what to do? Seelith lingered more and more. She had been wary, carrying the weight of loss and trauma after the collapse. She had lost her husband and struggled to trust again. But Marcus, quiet and focused, earned a different kind of attention. "You don't usually attach to strangers," Seelith said one afternoon. "She flinches with every adult male, except you." Marcus wasn't sure what to say. He watched as Nera used Kip as a teaching prop, explaining circuits with a precision that amazed him. "She chose you because you fix things," Seelith said softly. "Not just machines, but her heart, too." Then came the raid. Marcus was in Section 14, hauling parts for a water relay, when the 3-tone alarm pulsed through the station. "Raiders." Kath appeared with Nera clutched to her chest. "We have to move," she shouted. They raced through half-lit corridors, Marcus shielding Nera, steadying Seelith. Explosions rocked the station. Debris rained down. He threw himself over the 2 of them as the ceiling collapsed. "Stay down. Stay down," he shouted, keeping them safe beneath his body. When the dust settled, Marcus rose, wincing. Seelith's silver fingers pressed a strip of cloth to his temple. "You protected us," she whispered. Marcus shook his head. "I couldn't not." In the shelter, Marcus tended to his injuries. Nera fell asleep against his shoulder, clutching Kip. Seelith remained close, hesitant yet drawn to him. "You've already been what she needs," she said. "The question is whether you want to keep being it." Marcus thought of the first day, the certainty in Nera's eyes when she chose him. I could try," he said finally. 3 months later, Marcus requested an indefinite extension on Valoria Station. Section 14 had become home, shared meals, lessons on circuits, laughter and the quiet joy of family formed not by blood, but by trust and choice. On the balcony one evening, Nera bounded over with Kip in one hand. I need to tell you something, she announced. Marcus held her close. I talked to my mother, she said. She wants to meet you. Marcus glanced at Seelith, who met his gaze with warmth and hesitation. She called you her granddaughter, Nera added. The words landed with weight. Marcus' chest tightened. He had become part of something larger than repairs or survival. He had become family. I'll be here, he said. For every morning. Not for as long as you'll have me. Forever, he said. Forever, Nera repeated, her 4 eyes glimmering with certainty. Inside, she leapt to show her new grandmother Kip and her circuits. Outside, Marcus and Seelith leaned together, sharing a quiet moment of triumph. A human, a Valoran, and a child had rebuilt more than a station, they had rebuilt hope. The station was quieter now, almost peaceful. The raid had passed, leaving behind twisted metal, scorched panels, and the faint smell of burned circuitry. Yet in Section 14, life continued, as if the small corner of Valoria Station had become a world apart. Marcus Chen wiped his hands on a cloth and looked around the workspace he had come to consider home. Nera was already there, eyes bright, Kip clutched in her lap, carefully examining a small motor from a disassembled filtration unit. Marcus, she said, pointing to the wires, why does this one get hot when I touch it? Marcus crouched beside her. That's the current flowing through it. Electricity moves from one place to another, and the heat comes from energy that the wires can't use completely. Nera tilted her head, brow furrowing in concentration. So energy can be wasted. Sometimes, Marcus agreed, but if we plan the path carefully, most of it can be used. That's how machines stay efficient. She nodded solemnly, absorbing every word. Marcus couldn't help but smile. There was something profound in watching a child grasp ideas that would take most adults years to fully understand. Seelith stood in the doorway, watching silently. Marcus noticed her smaller eyes crinkle slightly, a Valoran expression of amusement and approval. She had brought breakfast for all of them, a simple tray of steaming grains and fruit, but Marcus knew the gesture was layered with gratitude, curiosity, and trust. You're teaching her fast, Seelith said softly. Marcus shrugged. She's curious, and she asks good questions. That helps me explain better. She doesn't just learn, Seelith said. She inspires. Marcus glanced at her. Seelith had changed since the first day they met. The cautious, guarded mother who had clutched Nera tightly now allowed herself to linger, even to participate. She watched Marcus with a quiet intensity that said more than words ever could. Nera suddenly bounded up. Marcus, can we make a machine that cleans water faster? Like, much faster. Faster than the station's filters? He asked, intrigued. Yes. And it could talk to me, she added, eyes wide with excitement. Marcus laughed. A talking water purifier. That's ambitious, even for a full team of engineers. Nera's smile didn't falter. Then you need to help me. You fix things. Marcus paused, watching her. The words echoed in his mind. You fix things. Not just machines, she had meant him. Not just devices, but hearts and trust and courage. All right, he said finally. We'll try. Weeks later, the Human Resources Office still puzzled over his indefinite posting. But Marcus didn't care. Section 14 had become home, a place where machines, humans, and Valorans coexisted, learned from one another, and grew stronger together. On a quiet evening, Marcus, Seelith, and Nera sat together at a cluttered table, Kip nestled in Nera's lap. Nera explained her latest invention to Marcus in animated detail, her 4 eyes shining. Seelith smiled from across the table, brushing crumbs from the table with careful fingers. Papa, Nera said suddenly, can we make something that travels to Earth? My grandmother wants to see Kip and our circuits. Marcus laughed. A spaceship. That might take a few months of work. Nera's expression was serious. Then we'll start now. Seelith leaned her head on Marcus' shoulder, her hand finding his. You stayed. You tried. You're exactly what she needed. Marcus looked at Nera, at Seelith, at the cluttered, humming, alive station around them. All the chaos, all the collapse, all the broken machines, it had led here. He had fixed things before. Machines, circuits, even broken water systems. But this was the greatest repair of all. He had fixed hope. He had fixed trust. He had built a family. And as Nera began sketching her plans for a new invention, Marcus felt something click into place, like a circuit finding its path, like a broken thing finally whole. Kip purred softly in her lap, and for the first time, Marcus realized that sometimes, fixing one small thing, one toy, one heart, one life, could change a world. The stars outside Valoria Station shimmered, and Marcus smiled. They were safe, they were together, and they had a future worth building. Nera's small voice rose again, full of excitement. "Papa, let's start." Marcus nodded, taking her hand. Seelith joined them, and together, the three of them leaned over blueprints, wires, and sensors, ready to fix, build, and create whatever came next. Because one human had tried. And that had been enough. The next weeks passed in a rhythm of lessons, repairs, and laughter. Marcus taught Nera about circuits, motors, pressure sensors, and even simple logic gates. She absorbed every detail, then asked questions that forced Marcus to think in ways he hadn't since engineering school. One afternoon, as Marcus was explaining how a relay worked, Seelith approached, carrying a small toolkit. "I've been watching," she said quietly. "She explains things to Kip better than I ever could. You've changed her." Marcus shook his head. "She changes me, too." Seelith's eyes softened, though her voice remained careful. "You're good for her. For both of us." Marcus felt a weight in his chest. It wasn't just gratitude. It was something heavier, something he hadn't expected to feel for anyone in a long time. Nera piped up suddenly. "Marcus, can you help me make a new circuit for Kip? He wants to learn about sensors today." Marcus chuckled. "Of course. Let's see what we can do." As they worked together, Marcus realized that the repairs and lessons were no longer about machines, they were about connection. Each wire, each spark, each carefully measured current was a bridge between human and Valoran, between past trauma and new hope. One evening, as the station's artificial sun dipped behind the distant planets, Nera tugged Marcus to the small balcony that overlooked Section 14. She held Kip proudly, who now had a tiny sensor-driven circuit allowing him to react to motion. "Look," she said. "Kip can see me move." Marcus smiled. "That's impressive. You designed it." "Of course. You just helped with the tricky parts." Seelith emerged from the doorway, carrying a small tray of fruit. She set it down and leaned against the railing beside him. Marcus noticed the quiet way she let herself be near, the way her hand lingered on the edge of his arm. "Marcus," she said carefully, "I've been thinking." He turned toward her, unsure where this was headed. "Our daughter, Nera, she's growing so fast. You've been part of her life for months now. And she paused, looking down at her hands, a rare moment of vulnerability. "I don't want to lose this, losing trust, losing connection." Marcus felt something shift inside him. He had built machines, fixed circuits, restored systems, but nothing had prepared him for repairing hearts, for earning trust the way a child gives it freely, the way Seelith was offering it now. "I won't go anywhere," he said finally. "I want to stay. If you'll let me." Seelith's gaze met his, eyes wide with relief and hope. "You want to be family?" "I want to try," he said simply. Nera's voice broke in, excitement impossible to contain. "Marcus, you're going to stay. Can I call you Papa?" Marcus froze. The word echoed in his mind. Not teacher, not friend, Papa. Chosen, accepted. Nera had given him something no machine could ever produce, a place in her heart. "Papa," he repeated, testing the word on his tongue. Then he smiled. "Yes, Papa." Nera threw herself into his arms. Marcus felt Seelith lean into them both, and for the first time in years, he felt whole. Not fixed, not repaired, whole. Days turned into weeks, and life on the station began to stabilize. Nera's curiosity flourished, and under Marcus' guidance, She designed small machines that helped improve living conditions in Section 14. Kip became a teaching assistant, a symbol of ingenuity and imagination, guiding other children through simple engineering tasks. Seelith began to open up further, assisting Marcus with repairs, organizing lessons, and even helping Nera troubleshoot her circuits. Their partnership was no longer cautious, it was collaborative, a testament to the strength of trust and shared purpose. One night, as the station's lights dimmed and the outer void glimmered with distant stars, Marcus sat with Nera on the balcony, watching the glow of Section 14 below. "Papa," she said suddenly, "do you think one human can really fix everything?" Marcus chuckled softly. "No, not everything. But one human can try. And sometimes, that's enough." Nera's eyes shone with understanding. "Then we can try together." The real test came a month later. A sudden system failure threatened Section 14's water filtration. Emergency alarms blared, lights flickered, and the station shook with instability. Marcus sprang into action, directing repairs while Seelith helped secure the section. Nera, small but determined, assisted by handing him tools and relays, showing the lessons had taken root. Together, they stabilized the system, preventing what could have been a catastrophic failure. Marcus looked at the two of them, Seelith and Nera, and realized they had become more than a mother and daughter. They were a family. "See," he said, breathing heavily. "We fixed it. Together." Nera beamed. "I told you, Papa. We fix things." Seelith reached out, holding his hand firmly. "You fix more than machines, Marcus. You fix hearts. You fix hope." Marcus smiled, a rare, quiet smile. "I'm learning from the best."